Hello, Ron Zirkin here with XO Communications. Today's discussion is infrastructure as a service, which is a form of cloud computing, integral for security in the cloud, and utilized in Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, and all cloud environments. Today we are joined by Patrick Kerpan of Cohesive Networks. Pat's company, which he formed as the CEO in 2008, is an infrastructure as a service company that sits on the cloud environments. But prior to this was the CTO of Borland Software when they acquired his company, Bedouin. Prior to that, Patrick has been involved with securities, derivatives, technologies in global bankings throughout the world. Patrick, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
People are moving to the critical applications for their business, and they're going to the cloud. What should be on the forefront of IT leaders' minds?
Well, I think you said it right there, which is businesses are moving to the cloud. When all of this started, we had virtual infrastructure, and which is virtualized computers running in the private data center. So it wasn't automated, it wasn't agile, so it's called virtualization as opposed to maybe cloud. And what happened was people would virtualize for specific reasons. The default was use metal, and then you had to prove your point of here's why I want to virtualize. And you would run into companies that say, we're never going to virtualize anything. So never was about 5 years, where now 90+% of the workloads are virtualized. Cloud came along, which is remote, internet-based access to virtualization through automation. And what happened is people said, well, you have to prove your point as to why to use cloud. And the default is we keep everything inside. Well, we're approaching that 5-year mark of this. And now what's happening is people are saying, I'm going to use the cloud. Businesses are saying, I'm going to use the cloud, but you have to prove to me why we're not using it. So that's been a big shift. But your initial point, which is where we've seen the most spectacular success, is when businesses move to the cloud. They cloud enable their business, and it's driven by line of business and it's revenue focused. When you have IT people saying we're going to move systems to the cloud, you don't have utility functions, you don't have fitness function. So move the business to the cloud, not the systems. You said it.
If you're starting a business or growing a business today, the cloud has to be part of the strategy. Even if you do not understand the IT factors, your business has to be in the cloud. And within the next 5 years, what will be the big issues that someone today that's starting a business and maybe thinking about a product, but not thinking about how to deploy, what are the big issues they should think about, and what should they be looking at?
Most people are coming from an existing sort of mental template. You know, they've been IT people, they've maybe left enterprise IT, or they worked in IT. Again, cloud is not just faster virtual computers. It's not just you can get a virtual computer, in 2 minutes instead of ordering online in 2 months. It's fundamentally different. It's agile. We have all these new technologies that fall under what they're calling DevOps. So we have containers, which are sort of lightweight VMs or lightweight containers that run inside virtual machines. So we have this whole stack of very dynamic, fluid technologies that are about speed to market, time to market, flexibility, not just, oh, it's good to be fast. So I think people need to look at how does sort of internet ubiquity and the ability to bring computation, data, analysis to any customer anywhere in the world is available to every entrepreneur. So how do you make use of that as an entrepreneur? Don't just get bogged down in some of the sort of technical artifacts.
What's changed, and how do you keep up with these changes? That as a business owner, if you say that there's a constant change, how do you face the question of how do I keep up with constant change?
Good question. I think there's two things. To your specific point, how do you keep up with the change? I think dynamic doesn't mean constantly changing for no purpose. Dynamic means now the ability to react in a timely fashion. So these technologies are bringing to your business the ability to be dynamically responsive to market conditions. They don't mean that they themselves have to change, underneath constantly. In terms of what's changed in the business, 3 years ago, well, let me step back. If you went to Cohesive's website, Cohesive Networks, it would say, we help you protect your business and applications from criminals, gangs, and foreign governments. 3 years ago, people would say, when I would say that, people would say, ooh, wrap the tinfoil hat a little tighter around your head. You sound very, sort of paranoid or conspiracy theory.
Black helicopters.
and really what's changed is, with almost no middle since all this sort of Snowden releases and all the things that have come out about the different government programs and different criminal programs effectively, people now have this sort of disgruntled resignation. It went from, wow, that sounds crazy, to, yeah, that's how it is out there. So we think that, the other thing about this infrastructure is, we call it cloud class security. There was the question when this all happened, is cloud secure? We would argue that what we're seeing is the migration of techniques and technologies from the public cloud into the enterprise private data center, where people are searching or seeking cloud class security in their own private data centers.
So tell me a little bit how an entrepreneur or someone with an enterprise application would come to Cohesive Networks, because they're going to go to Amazon AWS, they're going to go to Microsoft Azure. Tell me exactly what Cohesive Network does. Kind of take me through how they would find you, what you would do for them, what you would explain them, what you need to have done.
Well, we're big believers in conversations and, what I guess falls into the form of content marketing. I guess this conversation is content marketing. We're a big believer in conversations and storytelling. And so when you Google, hopefully what you're finding is content from our blog, content from Cloud Camp, content from social media, where we try to set the context around what's happening in the world of public cloud. Then when you come to our website, of course, we talk about features and functions and those things. Remarkably, well over half of our customers do a proof of concept, because we have freely available versions in all the major cloud catalogs. And so they do a proof of concept before we even hear from them. And then they'll call us and say, oh, we need help getting over the hump, or I'd like to buy a license now, please. So we think that's very effective. As they grow, that's one of the things. With this sort of new world for entrepreneurs and for customers, we have to provide value first, and then we get paid. We don't get paid up front, and then you have to derive value. So we have one customer right now that's looking to lock in a multi-year deal, because they're growing so fast in our usage. Their next 12 months will be about $400K of network virtualization subscription. Their first month was $350. So that's how much incremental value they found in Cohesive Networks. And we grew our businesses together. And that's the other thing. Everybody has used the word partnership as like code word for I'm selling you things and you're the customer. It really has to be one now. It has to be a partnership.
You're an integral part of their business.
Because I won't get paid if I don't help them grow their business.
So where do you differentiate from Amazon product that they provide for security? Where does Cohesive make a better infrastructure of a service product out to the customer who is on these platforms?
It's back to that partnership, and I think Amazon, from a mechanical point of view, and again, because they're about content as well, right? So they've really done a great job with their website, with how they have the marketplace and things like that. So they've done that. I think sometimes, because all businesses are there to make money, everybody wants to keep everything for themselves. It's kind of a natural, biological behavior almost of the organization. But in this case, there are certain things that the cloud service provider can't have access to your applications. Okay. As soon as they come from below and have in-depth knowledge and access and control over your applications, it allows the customer to have separation of concerns. They get technologies from Amazon, they get technologies from us, they get technologies from other great organizations like an Emerging Threats, now part of Proofpoint, who we resell. Okay. So the customer gets those things from people like us, other vendors, and from Amazon, but the customer creates their own solution in partnership. So it is about control, insight, and visibility. And in any audit framework, the auditors don't want to know what you think is true. They want to know what you attest is true. So if you can say all of my data in motion is encrypted end to end, and it takes the resources, dedicated resources of a nation state to get at it.
And to
That's
your
pretty
point,
good.
so if I have a business and I come to you and I say, I want to start a business, I want to understand the role of the cloud, but I want to look at it a little further, give me some predictions. I've heard many of them, but say for the next 5 to 15 years, show the predictions of the future. What is Cohesive going to be doing?
Well, hopefully Cohesive continues to grow with its customers, and I expect that to be true. I think if we look at the broad market context, cloud made mobile real. I think cloud made mobile, mobile didn't make cloud. Because we had mobile infrastructure, but it was all in the hands of the carriers, right? Cloud created this fantastic internet ubiquity that allowed any entrepreneur to bring a service to bear, right? So cloud made mobile. Mobile then, though, makes ubiquity, right? So now we have connected ubiquity beyond anything we've had before. So I think it makes things, it's going to make things like the Apple Watch possible, and things beyond the Apple Watch possible. And because the Apple Watch isn't a watch, I don't know, maybe it's a personal surveillance system or something, but the iPod was not an MP3 player. It was a thing that played MP3s, and that was a really important distinction. And it effectively gave birth to really the iPhone, the iPad, and in a lot of ways the Apple Watch. There's been iPods that have had roughly that design center, the surface space. So they've prototyped their future using those product lines. And the cloud has made that possible. So that's where I really think is people have to look at, you can reach anyone, anywhere.
Until then, Pat, thank you very much. A special thank to everyone who joined us today. You can find Cohesive Networks. It'll be posted on our website. There can be found on the web, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we'll have it, as I said, posted for you to follow up if you're interested in taking a look at Cohesive Networks and what they can do for you in the cloud.